Apple's latest move might redefine privacy for you. That's because Apple's iCloud passwords is now going to be available in Firefox. I just made a video recently here on the channel and it's taking off because there's a lot of interest in Apple passwords and people are wondering, hey, can I finally get rid of one password, for instance, which costs a lot? It does a lot, but it costs a lot. And they're kind of having more of a corporate focus these days. And maybe now's the time to kind of pull the plug and just shift over to what Apple's doing with their password setup. A lot of the feedback that I got on that video was like, I can't switch from one password yet because there's not enough integrations elsewhere. There's just too many power user features and I need it to be available in more places. So Apple letting you sync your passwords with Firefox now, but not on Windows, might end up making a lot of people happy. This is so new. You can see it only has less than 5,000 users so far and only 53 reviews because Apple just literally released this official extension. It's weird. The monopoly talk comes up, when Apple does something like this and they expand, which is weird for this reason. People are like, oh, Apple doesn't do enough. But then when Apple does more, then we start talking about monopolies. So for instance, one thing that people are complaining about, it's not available over on Windows. Well, if you want it to come to Windows, are you going to start complaining that we're getting monopolistic? If you can only access your passwords on Apple devices, then it's very useful for a lot of people. But if you have anything to do with like the Windows world or anything else, then that's where your password management system needs to be a little bit more robust. And this is kind of a small step in the right direction for people who actually have workflows or, families or whatever it is that demand a little bit more than what Apple currently has to offer. But I think what's cool about this is kind of like a universal translator for your passwords, right? It makes it available. You can interact in places where you couldn't travel before, or maybe a different sort of spin on this is like it's like a Trojan horse for privacy because Apple's bringing their privacy model and they're sneaking it in here through Firefox, and it's going to start affecting other companies and entities and workflows in different places than it normally was confined to. What's kind of weird is I personally haven't used Firefox or even thought about Firefox for years and years and years now. So I'm kind of wondering if Firefox gets a bit of a boost from the Apple user base. You'll notice this isn't a Chrome extension. So is Apple kind of playing a game here where they're trying to boost some browser competition out there, but not necessarily favoring Google's market dominance? You remember, Chrome is what the government is trying to get, potentially have Google spin out. They're like, you have a monopoly here and you have to divest of Chrome. So Chrome is seen as a very powerful entity. And maybe this is one way that Apple's sort of taking a shot at Chrome. Firefox is still out there adding to the browser, making developments, and Apple doing this, I think, could deepen their user loyalty across the ecosystem. This enhances the ecosystem stickiness through the browser integration. Ultimately, I hope that Apple continues down this road and brings us universal password management, not just password management in a silo that happens to be very secure and private and convenient, but doesn't work everywhere. What's nice here though is that new passwords created in Firefox also get saved to the iCloud keychain. So that means they're going to be available across your Apple devices. Plus, there's also an option to generate verification codes. Useful. According to TechCrunch, 60% of users prefer to manage passwords within one ecosystem. So more than half of people would prefer to just have one way to do it. I know, like right now, I sort of have a Frankenstein setup where I'm still kind of using one password for some stuff, but also some of my stuff lives in Apple's password management, because sometimes I sign in with Apple or I create a one-off email when I'm signing up for something they don't really care about or don't want to get spammed, or, with the verifications, with passkeys. It's still kind of a mess. I don't have that cohesive password management that I would really like. And that just is sort of like because I'm in the Apple ecosystem. A word of caution, it's early, so it looks like some people are having some growing pains as this is just rolling out, has some bugs or whatever. So, early adopter stuff. Here's somebody who says, works well. I'm surprised why it takes Apple so long to add things that others have had for ages. 2 things I'm missing for a 5-star review: show the passwords contextually when I click in a field and adding in TOTP codes for use with passkeys. I don't want to always have to click on the icon in the panel to invoke the passwords modal. But besides that, I'm really happy because I can use my iCloud passwords in Firefox. How are you feeling about Apple's move into Firefox? Let me know. Does this change things? You going back to Firefox?